Hello guys and welcome back to another video. In today's video, my friends, I am going to be testing Avatar Frontiers of Pandora on a GTX 1650 GPU. That is a 4GB GDDR6 model of the card, and as you can see right there, GeForce GTX 1650, and I'm using a Ryzen 5 3600 core 12 thread processor and 16GB of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM. All right, in the settings, I've just dialed in everything to the lowest right now. Everything is to the lowest. Just the object detail is at 10 because there has to be some detail in the objects because it becomes totally flushed out if you select 0. So I've selected these options, and also I'm using 1080p right now with FSR3 and frame generation on. With frame generation turned off, it doesn't work very well, guys. I will show you guys in a short while. But frame generation is currently on, and we're using scaling at quality, and scaling method is fixed. All right. So this is FSR3 and we're using frame generation. So right now in this area, we're getting about 45 FPS. Let's start counting the frames again. This is with frame generation, and I would recommend you guys to use a controller with this because it will perform very well if you use a controller. If you don't use a controller, it's gonna feel a little bit weird because we're using frame generation and the frames are gonna drop. And yeah, as you can see, as soon as we start looking above or we start to move the camera a lot faster, the game is gonna not perform very good. So that is why I'm recommending you guys to actually use a controller so that you don't get that much frame rate lag if you're using this GPU in this title. All right, so as you can see, 42 FPS average. Currently we're getting about 42 FPS average. The shadows, even though everything is to the lowest, as you guys can see, we're still getting some shadows, even though the shadows are performing at a very low frame rate. As you can see, they are like choppy and stuff. So yeah, still the shadows are performing very good. And yeah, the performance in this game is not very good for this GPU because this is a 4GB GPU, and you can already see, and as you can already see there, it's 3.7 gigabytes of VRAM usage on this GPU. I don't know if it's actually VRAM bottleneck right now because on my RX 600 on 8 gigabytes, it was using about 7.5 gigabytes of VRAM. Even though we were not using the lowest settings possible, but it was still running higher VRAM usage. All right. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to actually go ahead and load on this the resolution first because I don't want to restart the game because I have to also restart my recording software and everything in order for me to be able to turn off frame generation. So we're gonna go first with frame generation and FSR3, and afterwards I'm gonna turn off frame generation and I will show you guys the performance with that. All right. Alright guys, so I've just changed the settings to 900p, as you can see right here. We're 900p full screen mode and FSR3 frame generation on quality. I'm also going to use ultra quality in this and see if there is any difference in performance. And firstly, I'm going to use quality. And as you can see right here, we're getting about 4750 FPS. Let's start counting the frames again in the same area. This is a swamp area, and the weather has changed a little bit. It's more sunny now. And yeah, so we're getting about 40 and 50 FPS average now, 900p, and this is a very playable experience now. As you can see, it's performing very well. Underwater also, the frame rate is higher as opposed to being out of water. Let's go to this area and let's see if there is any difference. Okay, what is that? All right, so 55 FPS, 56, 51 FPS average, also going to the 60 sometimes. So I think this is the experience that you guys are going to be getting if you guys want to get close to 60 FPS experience, as you're getting about to 52. You can actually go ahead and play the game on these settings. Although the frame rate is dropping in this area, I don't know why. Maybe this is smoke or fog here. That's why. Yeah, if I look here, as you can see, 54. If I look towards the fog and stuff, it goes down into the higher 40s sometimes. All right. So yeah, I think you guys get the idea about 50 FPS average on 900p. Now let's go to 720p on the same settings and let's see how it performs. All right, guys. So we are now at 720p resolution. As you can see right here, full screen mode, 720p resolution, FSR3 and frame generation on quality is turned on. Let's go ahead into the graphics, and as you can see right here, we're using the same graphical options to the very lowest. All right. And as you can see, the frame rate right here and the screen quality is not very good in my opinion at 720p. With FSR3 and frame generation, it becomes very smudgy and the screen it doesn't look very good. I'm gonna start counting the frames again, and we're gonna look in the same area where the frame rate was dropping. As you can see, we're going now into the lower 50s most of, sometimes. Also, I saw 53, 52, and 48 also. So yeah, the frame rate is uh, very good now. But as you can see, we are not getting very good results on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and go to ultra quality FSR3, and let's see if this makes any difference. Yes, it does make a difference, and indeed, but it's not very visible in my opinion. And the frame rate is supposedly the same going from quality to ultra quality. There is some difference in my opinion, some a little bit of difference, like 1 or 2 FPS lower, but it's still the same. I'm gonna start counting the frames again, and as you can see, about 51, 49. Now it's dropping into 40s and lower 50s more, and compared to previously, and staying in, yeah, as you can stay in the lower 50s more most of the times. Previously it was close to more closer to 60 fps. Now if you're using a very lower like if you're using a very low size monitor, like a 900p monitor or something, with your 1650, you can easily go about with 900p and get very good frame rates in this game with FSR3 and frame generation turned on. But I wouldn't recommend you guys to use lower than 900p because 720p doesn't look very good in my opinion. Now I'm going to turn off frame generation and I'll be right back with you. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and turned off frame generation now with FSR3 on ultra quality, currently at 720p resolution, and the same graphical options at the lowest settings. We are getting close to now 30 fps experience, which actually was being doubled by frame generation. As you can see, close to 30 fps experience in the same area, with this smoke and stuff at 720p. This is the fps that you're gonna supposed to get at ultra quality FSR3. Now this is 31 fps average. I'm going to go ahead and turn down FSR3 now to quality, which doesn't look very good in my opinion, but if you want to get fps, you can do that. But as you can see, if I'm turning down FSR3 even in this area, this is very intensive area. As you can see, everything is just floating islands and vegetation around us, and even smoke and stuff. And with these enemies coming towards me, we're getting like close to right now about 40 fps when we're not looking at anything. But as soon as I will turn my camera around, even though the textures look really bad, guys, as you can see, the textures of those trees, they are like Minecraft textures. So yeah, about 33 and going into the high 20s also sometimes. That is not a very good experience. And I'm going to go to 900p and let's see how it performs there. Alright guys, so I've just turned the resolution up to 900p and FSR3 on quality currently, with fixed scaling mode, and everything is the same on the settings to very lowest. Now the game looks a little bit more sharper than 720p. 720p is a no-go in my opinion, and as you can see now we're in the higher 20s, which is not very good. As you can see, about 30 fps, close to 30 fps. If you lock down the frame rate even, this is gonna still go down into the 20s. Yeah, 26, 25. This is not a very good experience. So frame generation is a must in this game in my opinion. And if we go to 1080p, the frame rate is gonna go downhill from here. There's no reason for me to check out ultra quality FSR3 in this game currently. But if you can play at 25 fps, you can actually lock down to cinematic frame rates at 25, and it will be stable in my opinion because it's not going lower than 25 currently. Sometimes it's going lower, but it's actually due to stuttering and stuff. So yeah, it will be a manageable experience in my opinion. Now I'm going to go to 1080p and let's see how it performs there. Alright guys, now we're at 1080p resolution and FSR3 on quality again, and graphics are the same, very lowest. Alright, now as you can see, from 900p to 1080p there is not much of a decrease. Like I would say 1 to 2 fps decrease in performance. That is because we are now getting VRAM bound, and at 900p also I think we were VRAM bound, so that is why we're not getting that much of a decrease in performance going from 900 to 1080p, and from 1080p to 900p no increase otherwise. Yeah, so as you can see, about 28, 27 fps, 27 fps average. Now if you want to lock it down to 25 fps, it will be the frame time graph will be smooth, although it is still smoother at what I'm seeing from my side. But your mileage may vary depending on your system and stuff. With Ryzen 5 3600 currently, it's not lagging that much, and the frame time graph is smoother. It's playable, but I wouldn't I wouldn't play myself at these frame rates. At least this game, because it's actually for first person game, and I would like the first person game to be close to like more than 45 FPS most of the times. And that is why I would recommend you guys to always use frame generation with this GPU. And this makes a huge difference actually, going from 25 FPS to about 45 to 50 FPS with frame generation on a 1650. That's actually a miracle in my opinion, and frame generation and FSR3 are making a huge difference in this game, because Nvidia doesn't do anything for their lower end GPUs, and AMD is doing at least something, even though it doesn't look very good. And this at quality 1080p quality FSR3, it looks very good in my opinion, at least for the resolution part, not the graphics, but at least for the resolution part it looks very good. But I wouldn't say same for the Nvidia. If Nvidia doesn't do anything, then this GPU, as I'm gonna turn down, as you will see, I'm just gonna remove FSR3 now, and you will see the FPS. All right, guys. So we are now at TAA, and FSR3 is now removed. Now, as you can see the FPS there. We are, even though there is, in my opinion, it essentially looks, yeah, I could say that it's a little bit better than FSR3, but it's still not that huge of a difference that I would go to 20 FPS compared to 27 FPS average. As you can see, now let's start counting the frames again just for the sake of it, because you guys know that this is not a resolution that you guys should be playing this game at. And as you can see, about 25 right now, 24, 23. Also going into the teens, like higher teens, like 19 FPS. So yeah, in my opinion, FSR3 is a must if you want to play this game on 1650. But I don't think that anybody who has a 1650 should be buying this game, because these are 2023 games, and at the higher end of 2023 games, this is very good looking, a very high graphically intensive game. So I wouldn't recommend anybody with a GTX 1650 to actually buy this game. So yeah, this was my test on the 1650. I hope you got some idea of how this game is gonna perform if you have a 1650, and I hope I did something better for you guys. All right, so I will see you guys in the next video, and love you all. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you did, and bye bye.